Masters. Oh, that's fine. Masters. So let's then start with what needs to happen. Let's start with honors. Majority are UNISA. You are doing honors, Jue. But it seems you are the one who's answering for UNISA, for UP honors. Anyone who's doing honors at UP?
It's me.
1, 2. Okay.
No, not me. Sorry.
Only you. Is it a comprehensive honors?
Yes.
Or you are specialized?
No, it's a
Comprehensive honors. Old Testament, New Testament,
particular theology.
particular theology. You are doing 3 courses?
No, I'm doing particular theology.
Or you are specializing honors in particular theology?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Two of them.
Supposed to be comprehensive.
Yeah, fish. No,
What is normal, Tasha? According to the church requirement, when you are doing honors, you must do comprehensive honors.
no, I can hear. You are specialized. Sorry.
Yeah, but specialization must start at master.
You see, it depends.
Yeah, convinces me.
No, it depends on the because we don't have no, we do have kind of like comprehensive, but it's only for UNISA students. But us we specialize because already passed all those modules in our junior degree from blog.
But UP, they don't have a comprehensive honors.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Hungary usually it's under PTH where you must just do everything and then you have your PA degree. So when you do your PA degree, you are expected to do languages at any time where you want.
Yeah.
But when you do PTH or PDiv, it's called PDiv now, they expect you to do languages from first year up until third year. Keep by it. Then honestly we know we will keep OST but with all modules included.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. It's fine. It's your own arrangement.
No, it's the university or the faculty.
Yes, I'm saying that. But according to the church, you must be doing comprehensive honors. I'm not disputing what is happening. But that's what I think we must always depart from what is the requirement of the church. Then circumstances are a secondary matter to say, no, look, based on this institution. Let me make an example. UNISA this year was full for the first time. It has never happened in the entire history.
Sure.
Where you are told that UNISA is full. It's the first time. And that is an alarming experience for us because it might mean we might have new 20 students who think that they'll go and study at UNISA. And half of them, they might come, or even 20 of them, and tell us that, hey, theology is full. We never had experienced a full theology before. But for the first time, even theology at UNISA is full. And we are trying to guess why. We don't know yet why, because it's the first time it has happened. The possibility will be that because we've kept registration, higher education gives each and every university to say, you can only cater so many students. And they even break it to disciplines. To say, you can only get this much for this discipline. So whenever we are told that university is full, it's not full. Yes, it's full obviously because of capacity. But that's not the only reason. The reason is that there is a cap of funding by Department of Higher Education. Once you don't meet that cap or you are above it, the university is not funded by Department of Education. So even if as a university you might want to take more or less, you can't. Because for you to get funding, that criteria determines your funding. Like SRC will do it, you will tell them, no, go to Department of Education. It's not us. Otherwise, next year we'll have problem of not being funded. And we'll have more problems than this year. So more or less, that's what is happening in a political arena. So the expectation of the church is that we must have comprehensive honors and a certain masters that does not require, that will not allow you to do a doctorate. That will take 1 year. I don't know if UP is still the same.
Yeah.
With that masters of 1 year, you call it what, MD?
There's MT
MTH.
MTH. Is it not an A? MTH of 1 year. Then you'll have do what? An MA. MDiv of 2 years. What do you call it at UP?
Well, MDiv is a year because it's a comprehensive masters.
Uh-huh.
MDiv, it's 1 year. Here the Dutch reformed.
Yeah.
So.
But MDiv you must have Greek 3
Yeah. And Hebrew 3.
and Hebrew 3.
Yeah.
And we all know that we are struggling with Greek 1 year. So Hebrew 1. So we must now deviate now just to get there. So that's the reality of us. And there's been always a question whether we must do away with Greek and Hebrew. People, like, even in law, people will tell you that those who studied PPOG and LLB, it used to be a requirement that we must do Latin, but it has shifted. The argument has been that we don't need Latin, can still do law without that. Maybe in future there will be that argument of saying we don't need Greek and Hebrew. But someone will have to start that discussion, and it must be argued in the synod. Not here, not with MFTT. We must take it to the synod. And I've experienced that most of us, we only argue it when we are still at school. But when we are in the synod now as ministers, we say, no, we need Greek and Hebrew. So that's how strange it is. So for now, the requirement will be that you need Greek and Hebrew for at least 1 year of Greek and Hebrew. Others, when they arrived at Tevluop, it used to be half Greek, half Hebrew. But later it was converted to 1 year Greek, 1 year Hebrew. So that's where we are sitting. It's even worse now. We used to have in-house. Now we are told that you must all do full year, 1 Greek, 1 Hebrew. It's only for the last time, I think this year, that we'll be doing in-house. Otherwise, you are going to have to struggle with.
We don't have that. We don't have that.
Now we are going to arrange it. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you so much.
For those who have amended curriculum, not yourselves.
What do you mean?
Let me explain this.
You don't divide.
No, I will divide you based on the principle of the church, and I'll not lie to you to say this is what is wanted. Because tomorrow will be the one crying. It won't be me. Now I'm a minister already. The reality of the matter is that the church has approved that, as we speak, the General Synod curriculum, it's either you do a Greek with an institution, and the institution is even prescribed, UNISA or UP, or UOFS, Namibia, I think it's called NET or something, Stellenbosch. That's where we are. One full 1 year Greek, full 1 year Hebrew for full-time students. It's only for amended student curricula that they are allowed to do in-house as prescribed by the General Synod. Until the General Synod rules otherwise, it remains. So that's the reality of the matter. You might not like it, but that's what it is. For you to change it, you know the door, General Synod. Engage the General Synod, and it will only happen when next year is the full Sitimus. Next year, if you want proposal, you write proposal to the General Synod. If the General Synod instructs us to say, yes, these ones can also do in-house, we will do it, one question, because it's the decision of the Synod. But we operate like donkeys. If the Synod says left, we go left. If it says right, we go right. The only divisive tendencies that we'll find is if the General Synod has prescribed something and we change it ourselves. And tomorrow someone new will come and say, but this is the requirement of General Synod. And we'll be saying, no, but Makashela has done it. Why should I not do it? But the reality of the matter is that we are living in an era where we all have access to information. All the decisions of the Synod They are there in the website of the General Synod. And ACTA is there to guide all of us. So there's no excuse to say you didn't know. There will never be that excuse because you've got access to those information. It's not like Snokwanes is the only one with that information, Magashe. You just go to the website.
Just to make sure it's recording.
Yeah, it must record. Yeah. Because I speak facts. So it's very important that all of us, we must not mislead one another because it's a dangerous culture. We've seen people misleading one another. I was with one student now, but I can't see him now. He was misled to go and do third level modules of BTH at UNISA. And it's an amended curriculum and it's below 40 years. I had to tell him now to say, no. I don't know who advised you, but the reality of the matter is that we don't want, you can do your honors there. I see that UNISA granted you, it's fine. But what the church wants from you, it's a degree in theology, not 30 modules of theology, a degree in theology and honors or at least an equivalent with a master's. So now I'm not here to lie to you or buy your faces. I'll tell you what the church wants. It's up to you to take it or to leave it. But tomorrow don't come back and blame me or other people. That's what the church wants from me. A junior degree, if it's a diploma, it's diploma and honors, a master's, whatever the equivalent, then you are done. You bring us Greek and Hebrew, you are done. Those who came after, it was a Peter Marisberg. No, not Peter Marisberg. Those who came after Haman Skral. Haman Skral Synod was in 2005, it was Peter Marisberg.
Haman Skral
10.
10.
Whatever. Synod sits every 5 years, I guess.
Or GS though.
GS. So it's possible it's 10.
11.
Yeah, whatever the year. But at the Haman Skral Synod, there was a decision that at least you must do one African language other than your mother tongue. The reason behind that was that because you are ministering in different synods, because you are crisscrossing. So at least you must have another language other than what you are doing. So more or less that's what is the curriculum. Coming back to honors now. The idea to do a comprehensive honors was that you must at least spread your knowledge amongst between different subjects or disciplines. Meaning you do New Testament, Old Testament, maybe practical theology, systematic theology, theological ethics, so that you are better balanced. Remember, when you are doing undergraduate, sometimes there are certain things that you miss there. So we are trying to make up with the honors. But besides that, we had later amended curriculum. Amended curriculum, the reality of the matter is that you only do third level modules. You are still lagging with certain modules or information of undergraduate. So the idea was that once you do an honors, it must be comprehensive so that you make up for the loss. That's the only simple explanation of that. That matter about.
Ruth, when you talk about comprehensive, like I've applied to register for honors in church history. So is that comprehensive?
No, it's speciality.
Speciality.
You only do church history. What you know only there is church history.
But now how do you make it?
It can't, because you can only do it if it is titled as comprehensive. So it means literally you've started to specialize. But the person who's done a comprehensive, they both have got their own pros and cons. Meaning, if we speak about a church historian, you would have known 5 different things spread across church history. I wouldn't know them myself because I did not specialize on church history. But the shortfall of that is that if the person has done it comprehensive, we'll have a little bit of church history, Old Testament, New Testament, ethics, systematic, practical. What, you get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it's bad or whatever. It means you have a better understanding. Remember, at the congregation level, people at the church council and in the congregation, they expect you to be a master of everything. So at least you must have a little bit of everything. That's what comprehensive honors assist you with. You'll know a little bit of that and this and that. But it does not mean that one of the mistakes that we do is that we think that because other people have not done something, therefore they are worse off. Lewanaka comprehensive, it makes you a master of what? A none.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, you are a jack of all trades, master of none. So, but with speciality, that's why even in the church, whenever we deploy you for ministries, if you go to the synod, we try to use your specialties per ministry because we realize that you can't know everything. So we specialize in that regard. So I think I'm clear when it comes to honors. So you are expected to do honors as a requirement of the church. And at least you can finish your honors either in 1 year or 2 years. It's possible. We know people who've done honors in 1 year. And some of you have done it, I think. Others spread it to 2 years because of their heavy load, workload, and so forth, or family responsibilities. Then, in as far as masters is concerned, I think that's where we must engage.
Maybe before you go to master, so now, if a person now asadira that honors, comprehensive honors, so is there a problem? Or?
No, there's no problem.
No problem.
In as, if the church has granted you the permission, there's no problem. You can continue to specialize. The only disadvantage is that if you specialize in church history at honors, it's very difficult for you to go and specialize in practical theology. You'll have now to continue all the way with church history.
Okay, it's fine.
So if you are granted permission, it's fine, but it must be written. Because you know what's the problem? Some of you enter into agreement, verbal agreement with people. And tomorrow you come and say, yes, Nukwane said, I can do it. And you say, okay, give us proof, you can't show it. Now you want to blame the next person. And that person has every right to request a written proof. Because just imagine, if all of you can come with a claim that Nukwane said, you must just do masters without undergraduate. You must have something written to prove that is that permission. So you just need permission to say there was that agreement. Because the committees of the church, commission of the church ministries changes within a second. So it's me tomorrow is someone. So there must always be, I was checking other students, you don't have even copies of your files. You come there, you give us everything that we have. That file can get lost and you'll be left with nothing except yourself. And it won't be me tomorrow. It will be Nkombezekwa sitting in that table, saying, no, but there's nothing here. I want to approve, and you'll have nothing. So it's always important that when you submit a file, you have your own copy for any eventuality. So, yes, that matter.
Sorry to say this, but I think for a few occasions that I've attended these sessions, this is one very informative session. And I think people that are coming here, like the person that you just spoke about, 40 having done an amended curriculum, was advised. But right now it can come to that particular person to say, but we cannot proceed further in terms of our church with regard to this. We need to go back and do that. Because there may not be somewhere where it is written, but the advice came from this side. I don't think, because we come from this side to get an advice and to go and register. Maybe because we're not taking minutes of, like when we do interviews and every other thing. So that is very much better. I think maybe something can be done so that full information is given. Like you've got a lot of new coming students that are thinking that this is the church institution, and eventually at the end they get so ahead that they think that they've been ill-advised. I've got one of the NTS students who have been here for quite some time, and what he came with, or what she came with, apparently got approved, but along the way it was disapproved. And
now you know what's the problem that matter one? The problem is created not only one side, both sides. You see, like, and now blame yourselves also. Why would I do that? Like some of you here, you are here today. There are two things that you can do. To be very, very strict, or to be lenient. If you are very, very strict, it will mean if you bring documents and Oshota, even there is one document missing, I must tell you that matter, I'm not going to interview you. Go back home and make sure that you come with correct documents. I sign off everything that is 100%.
Yeah.
But I become lenient. I say, okay, it's fine. I'll wait for document. And now, like now, I'm leaving at 4 o'clock. I'll be gone. I don't have Kombezekwa school document. I leave. The next person takes that you are interviewed. Already something has slipped in the cracks there. It has happened that you did not bring everything. So I did not advise you properly. Because in the absence of full documents, I will not give you full advice. And in that, already I've messed up. Next day you come back and you say no, but imagine already you bring, because we need, for example, proof of previous registration or the current registration, we need proof of result. I'll be able to say, no, that matter, but this is what you need, 1 and 3 and 4. When you leave here, you leave here, I'll write down to say, this is what you must go and do. But in the absence of that, you leave, you will do whatever you want. Next year, you have got a problem. Now, who must be blamed? Even if it was me, now we can't trace it because there is this culture of leniency.
Yeah.
So it's either we become strict, and when we become strict, hey, the professor died.
Yeah.
We would have interviewed half of yourselves here. So we are trying to be lenient. So that's one of the problems. But I think we must improve. And especially now because we are moving towards the registration of the seminar as an entity itself with SACWA. It means we are going to be more strict. Like literally will be strict because SACWA will do its own verification of qualification of everything. So and well, now we are just going to start the process. Some of you will be the one running the school after that. Because remember, the rule of the church says you can only be the minister for 2 consecutive terms. After we've produced some of you, next synod, some of us, I was not even supposed to come back to MFTT because my time is already overdue. I just came because I must represent the Moderamen. But some of you will be the one sitting there having to make those decisions. It won't be me. And I'll be laughing that time. Say, hey man, what are you saying, Joel? You are saying that you need documents from students. And you'll be wanting them because the synod will be asking you to say, but we need to approve these things, we need evidence. So I'm just saying, in moving forward, we must make sure that as ministers, as students, we equally come to the party. And just, I was telling Kombezekwa, he thought I was joking. Well, from next year, we will no longer be registered our student with UP. For the Southern and Northern Synod. For the reason that we'll be studying our own seminary very soon in the future. But above that, whoever, if we can negotiate with UNISA to finish there, it means it will be transition period. But new students won't go to UP at all. So it's the route that we are traveling. So it means those will be doing masters and honors from next year 100%. They won't even be going to UP. It will be UNISA.
Please repeat that, Mbuti. I don't think I heard very well.
I guess you've been doing undergrad with UP and masters and honors for others. From next year, we are starting to withdraw from UP.
So those who have carrying modules?
I'm saying we are going to have a meeting with UNISA to try to transfer. If it can happen, it means it will be the last batch of people. It will be transition period. We don't got political issues with UP. So we make political decisions. Because we can't just be having people withdrawing our lecturers as they please. And we must just be there. And they tell you that you'll do nothing about it. So we must also make political decisions. Can't be undermined by what institution. Can't allow that. So we have to make our own decisions. But it's a lesson that we should have started to register the seminary a long time ago. We shouldn't be having this problem now. It's a lesson. So, more or less. So let's talk masters now. For those who are doing masters. We are starting from Kenalma. What's your topic of master?
Are we done?
Yeah, we are trying to move, but let's engage. I'm not speaking alone. If you want to just interrupt, then we'll speak.
All right, maybe if you ask when is the Greek and Hebrew starting?
I was supposed to speak to Maponya now, but it must happen as soon as after we move from here. The expectation is that those that we have arrangement with for internal Greek and Hebrew, we said that there's going to be communication. I'll speak to them because the scribe of the report of MFTT will be tabled today to assessment committee will be tabled today. There's an executive sitting. So from next week, there will be communication to all students, including those who must finish by August, to say this is what is expected from you. Because if that does not happen, SRC or individual student must write asking for that. Because you are used to this culture of oral, culture of speaking, or verbal agreement. Tomorrow when you are in trouble, now you don't have any evidence. So it's important that whenever there is a meeting you must always ask something to be written. Because we will die, there will be storms happening in life, and we have nothing to prove that there was this agreement. So the expectation is that from next week there must be communication. If it doesn't happen next week, Friday, latest next week, write a letter asking for the decision to be communicated to as individuals, just for your own finding. So that one is clear. So if we are happy with that, Kenalman.
I want to ask before we proceed.
Yeah.
So are you saying those who are doing a specialized masters at UP and the negotiations go very well at UNISA, are they continuing with the very same subject, with the very same masters to UNISA, or?
No, transition. Means if you've started with your masters, we will not interrupt. We will allow you to finish. But the new intake, UNISA, we don't even know who's teaching you there. I've been taught by everyone there, from charismatic to Methodist to Catholic charismatic. Yeah. So we want to be gatekeepers. We must feed you what we want to feed you. Yeah. So that you must think like us. Exactly. Now we are thinking different now. Yeah. It's a problem. We can't even agree on a simple thing of saying, here is the door. We now argue whether it's a door or it's a window, it looks like what.
It's an open area.
So at least we must agree that it's a door. We rather struggle whether it's an aluminum door, a zinc, or what? A wood. We must argue on that, not to argue if it's a door. Those who must finish. But those who are undergrad, if you are UNISA say, no, if you bring them with 20 modules, we'll credit them 20 modules, they'll finish, then there's no will take to them. But if there is a problem, we'll allow you to finish your undergrad there, then transfer you for another degree somewhere. But things must happen. So we'll be busy negotiating with UNISA starting from the month of March. Because there's nothing for us. It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing, really. It's nothing. So we must do our own training, must think the way we want to think. If we do our own mistakes, it must be our own mistakes, we'll learn from them. Someone will perfect them along the way. Yes, Abrams.
Yeah, the issue of UNISA, will you rumble with it to a point whereby they now have full time?
No, UNISA will never have full time.
I'm talking about rumbling with them.
It will never happen because it is regulated by higher education. It's not us.
Pull some strings then.
We don't have that power. UNISA is classified as an ODL. And it will remain. We have the same argument now. We are saying, look, we are still struggling. I don't know if we will win it, but it seems we might win. We are arguing that UNISA must have residential places. Department of Education says, no, we don't have a plan for UNISA to have wherever be a full-time institute. It must remain open distance e-learning institute. So maybe Dr. Sokocha must talk to him. It's a political decision. we will do nothing. You must just agree. Some decision you must allow them. You must understand that they are behind you. We'll just argue something that will never win. SRCs have tried, political structures have tried, they've lost. So as we are just a drop in an ocean, they won't even, they'll say, what, the church? It's even worse. Don't listen to the church. So when you come, we said, our plan is to create our own seminar. Catholic Church John Vian started as a seminar, is now credited as a university. So if we start now, we start with a seminar, later some of yourself will fight for it to be credited as a university later. But for you to do that, you must have your own doctrines. Because you need capacity to be able to move. But there is a light in the tunnel now. We see that most of you are doing masters and doctorates, so things are changing.
Okay.
Converse.
Next topic.
Don't deviate us.
I'm not deviating. No, now I'm caught between. These are personal reasons. I'm still contemplating whether I should move with my topic here, Old Testament, state capture and church capture, according to...
Are we now talking masters?
Yeah.
Okay. The cut.
Oh, well, as I was saying, I'm still contemplating and doing 2 masters, but to decide, I want to do the church one because it's 1 year, and push with my languages so that I can get out of the system.
State kept.
Okay?
State kept.
No, we're meant MTH. But I'm thinking also to do the specialized masters on state capture and church capture, according to the book of Prophet Ezekiel. But I'm still contemplating on the 2. So registrations of masters are on Monday, so I'll decide when they get there. Maybe to the MTH.
Old Testament.
No. MTH Ekerek. Disability.
So your state capture and church capture is Old Testament.
Yeah.
The next one, come on.
I was doing masters last year. My topic was historical and contextual critique of Article 12 of the Church Law.
Hey, what does it say?
Church relationships. I had so many challenges because I specialized honors with Professor P.A. And when I was doing masters, I wanted to continue with him, but apparently was appointed as a dean.
It's not apparent, it's a fact.
Yeah. So after that, for the first 6 months, he was absent, going up and down. So I struggled too much. And the time I said, okay, no, let's, me and my supervisor engage. In fact, I tried to find an assistant supervisor and he refused. I went to UNISA, I went to everywhere, he refused. He said, I want to supervise you alone, because he was supervising me when I was doing honors. And I fully agree that we must move from University of Pretoria because we don't benefit anything. And I tried to engage Professor P.A. about my topic. He knows nothing about church polity. So I was like caught between, and I ended up, being reluctant and doing, playing. I'm honest. But this year, I'm willing to do masters of our church and go out because the Pretoria. Please.
No, the communities are big.
Yeah. I will
But
try
you
to
must
find
just for
another
now also try to push that masters in another institution while you are busy with this one.
I've registered PGCE at the University of South Africa. So
Okay, no, that's good. At least you are doing something.
yeah.
Okay, the next one. You don't have a topic?
I do have a topic, but I'm still skeptical.
You can't be having a topic that is a secret. Unless if it is not a topic.
It is a topic.
What is your topic?
It's to write about marriage rights.
Marriage.
Marriage rights. Looking at the African context, the Christian, and the society today.
So you want the issue of polygamy?
Yes.
There are a lot of burning issues today about polygamy. And it is an issue that is burning again in our church. So yeah, I want to.
The angle will be from the African point of view of polygamy, and also
The state and the church.
LGBTIQ, and what? Are they done? The types of marriage that you want to do? Because they are not all.
Yeah, they are not all with the, still with
In South Africa also have racial marriage.
yeah, the
If you
racial
check
gains.
what was this thing called? There was this law that was passed in Upper the prohibition of indulging in sexual relationship between blacks and whites. What was it called? There was an act that was passed. But it has to do with the prohibition. Yeah, but you know what happened? That act came, I'll find the name of that act. That act is very interesting. It was done and passed after a particular Dutch Reformed Church minister was found having sexual intercourse with the domestic worker in a garage. And after that, the community attacked them, and that became the law that they never, this, never, it must never happen again. There is a name for it. It's just that it's just.
I just have a sort of a poster saying anyone disobeying these laws will be in prison, fined, or what?
But there was an act passed.
Yeah, no, the act is not written there.
Yeah.
So it also now talks about no white person may have sexual relations with an African.
Yeah, it was passed after that Dutch Reform minister was found. The white minister found that. If you can check, just check, you'll find the actual name of that act. No, it's fine.
In science of religion,
Physiology. The next one.
Yeah, I'm specializing on practical theology. You know, every time at schools, we identify learners with social problems, the needy learners. But that is not happening in our churches.
Yeah, that act was called the Morality Act. You can check it. Yes. Correct, 55. That one started earlier than 55. Then it started to fall. So I'm going to
So normally at schools we will identify the needy learners. But at our churches, that is not happening. We just go in and go out. So my topic will be on, because we have high rate of learners who are child-headed families. My topic will be based on that, because really is a struggle. The role of the church in prevention of child-headed families.
Yeah, but what's going to be in relation to the church? What do you think the church will do?
I think something must be done within the church.
Yeah, but you know what? You must also think beyond the current. Go back remember what used to happen. The church used to have orphanages, schools, and what before. And that road was, one of the reasons why the state was funding the churches was because they had relegated that responsibility to the church. But after 1994, the government took that responsibility back to itself. So you need to make that balance in finding out how do you try to bring the solution between the church and the state. I don't know how we will do it, but I think the solution might lie in that balance. I don't know how. I don't know. So I'm just thinking now.
Yeah, but now even we will identify those learners for the government to help the schools. But now there's nothing. URCSA is taking all the money.
Government is refusing to fund.
No, we don't get whatever we've been getting before.
That's why you need to come with a model. A proposal. Yes, yes,
Thank you. Just coming to that one. I also thought of it. And like I was in a school situation and I was in the department for life. Now, as ma'am says, in the schools we have something like, I don't know whether it's still like school-based support teams where needy learners will be identified. But I pursued it, but I didn't do it as a government. What I did now in our community, I came up with a model of church-based support team. I think of using the weakness service identify those learners but operating out of this.
And one of the problems, maybe in your problem statement, one of the things that you can add could be that for some reason, our church after 1994 became trapped inside its own walls. For some reason, we are still trapped there. That's why in church now, when we've got projects, we don't mind raising 200,000 to build a church or to renovate or to build a wall or to buy minister furniture or to pay the minister. But once you say, no, you know, we've got children in the church who need some assistance at university, people in the church say, no. Or when they agree, tomorrow they start talking nonsense. Saying, yeah, you see, if we wasted our money in this kid, why aren't the others are being paid for? The same as they are paying for this one. But they are happy with tiles every year, every 5 years. You buy new tiles, new ceiling, it's fine. But don't talk about human development aspect. It is a problem. I don't know, I've seen it. It's a problem. You can touch their money, but don't speak human development.
Just like that.
I don't know why, but it's there now. You can't there's not even in our church budget, there is nothing about education, about kitchen soup or whatever. There's nothing normally in our church budget, as per what the church should be doing. Those things must be there in our budget. They are not there. Budget is about fixing windows, replacement, repairs, payment of ministers. And even worse, as ministers, we are even looting ourselves. It will be Makashela starting next week, earning 5,000. Within 6 months, Makashela is earning 20,000. Because he has seen something inside the church account. So literally, the church is only existing to pay Makashe. Nothing else except Makashe. So I think in future, I don't know if you will get it right. Let's hope that you'll get it right. But I think those some of the things that have to look around.
Now we'll go up next.
The next one.
Yeah, Rev, I've just registered now. So the topic that I'm thinking of is still very rough. So I'll still need to polish it. But something that I was thinking of doing is, in a lot of the communities, and I'm coming there from the Northern Cape, and smaller communities, you've got some upliftment, financially for some of these areas. And With that, sometimes, yes, there's a lot of money pumped into that community. But at the end of the day, you know, crime started happening because, you know, people, fathers are in shebeens and children are still hungry. And I was just thinking of something like a model with government, looking at a more social kind of impact study in these areas and see, you know, possible impact that it can have and how to handle the role of the church. The model will exist of both the role of the church in this and the role of the government in taking hands and ensuring that, you know, these social, you know, downfalls of the community doesn't happen. That's what I had in mind.
I wonder, okay, let's argue that it is the church and government. Obviously, it can happen at that level, that bilateral, it can happen, depending also on what is the will of the government.
Yeah.
You know, what, I don't know how will you get it right. I've always maintained and argued that it might be wrong because you can, obviously the doors of government are always open for engagement with any stakeholder in the society. But with my little experience in politics, decisions are made already in political party structure. They are made there, in their meetings. And by the time they reach legislature, municipality, parliament, they were discussed long time ago there. And in other political parties, they'll tell you about drawing a party line. If they've decided as a political party, you draw the line. If you don't draw the line, there'll be repercussions. So if you come and negotiate with me, and there is already a line from the branch or whatever structure, how do you engage? So I'm asking that question so that whenever you want to, you think of government, you must think of government not only as a current governing body. You must also think in as far as political parties are concerned, because decisions are made there.
There was one of the congregations that already had a sort of relationship, and they even paid half of the social work at the government, and the church was paying the other half of the. Yes. So I was thinking to just, you know, build on that kind of relationship.
Yes, correct.
Because that relationship exists at congregation.
Is it at provincial level or municipality?
It's at municipality level, in Bloemfontein.
Bloemfontein.
Heatherdale and Heatherdale South is the two congregations together doing this. But they didn't go to that level of, you know, kind of social impact study and those kind of things. They just manage social grounds and I was just thinking maybe something that you can take one step further.
Yeah, but I'm just saying moving beyond, because your topic, remember, you will have a lot to write there. I'm just trying to expand your topic. Deliberate, you'll decide obviously what is important, what is not important. It will depend on you, because sometimes it's subjective. You'll find someone in municipality who's a church person and will just have natural weak spot for church and engage with you, but others, they might not be the case. So that's what I'm saying, look beyond. The next one.
Hi, Prof. I've started with my master's at URCSA. So I'm in the field of practical theology, and then specifically looking at the sub-discipline of liturgical studies, with interest in worship in URCSA, but specifically looking at the use of music in our congregations in URCSA, because from observation we can see that singing plays a vital role in terms of how we communicate on a daily basis. I mean, we use singing to relay stories. Singing is used in anthropology studies, where we pass on teachings of our tradition and culture through song, and singing we relay history. And with the study, it's my intent to understand how what role music plays and singing plays in our congregation, specifically in terms of influencing our spirituality. Do we only use music for filling the gaps in our worship, to extend the time so that we don't keep people here for just a short time? What is the role of music in our congregation?
Which music is that?
Our singing in general, in the liturgical
I want to
singing.
know what would be the basics. Are you going to use Hosanna? Are you going to use, what do you call this one of Africans, Hassan?
So,
Sion's Hassan. Which one will be your basis? I'm just trying to get a feel.
So, it was my intent into doing participant observations in the congregations to identify in our presbytery what forms of singing are happening in our congregation. Are they using the Hosanna, as you have mentioned, or are they using Sion's Gesang, or have they perhaps moved on to using Hill songs or something else, for example? And then through the study, perhaps identifying different theological perspectives on worship in our church, and perhaps contributing to the worship draft book that the Northern Synod is currently working on.
It actually is of the Alchemy.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one.
Well, good afternoon. So I intend doing the church master's degree. But Prof, I'll be my topic, the one that I'm thinking, is to look at what would be the Sharpeville Presbytery contribution towards the society, especially with regards to Belhar Confession, where it states that thusa batho bohloking le tshotlehong efe kapa efe. So I'm interested to know whether do we as the Sharpeville Presbytery practice what we preach, and if so, because the Belhar Confession doesn't necessarily mean in our own presbytery, but is the society as a whole. Do we confine that assistance or whatever contribution to the society? Or to Sabbath do we have programs?
I'm asking, is it in terms of economy or social? Or what?
Social.
Okay.
Social, yes. So do we confine it to the presbytery if it does exist, or do we follow it to the society, to the society within us as a whole?
It's me. I actually have two topics in mind. One is...
you say when you start with two groups.
To be three. The next three to be four. Yeah, the first one is discrimination against persons or people living with albinism. Because I've seen in the society the way we're treating them. Not only in the communities, even in the churches, we discriminate against them. One way or the other, consciously and unconsciously, so we do that. Then my second topic that I was thinking about also is the observation that I've seen. It's happening so very fast, you know. Young, they get married, but they get to divorce quickly. So I don't know how to put this topic, but I'm thinking that it's something that one can explore. You know, there is an increase in marriages that are not sustainable in the young ages, something like that.
They're just married.
You know what? Even if they marry, they don't last even 2 years. Most of the people, even actually in the churches, it's even worse, because these people. I'll give you an example. Yes, two young people, they meet. They get to know each other less than 3 months or 6 months. They think they've got everything, then they come together. They've not researched one another in terms of their liabilities, their assets and everything. Especially these young girls. They see these guys driving a fancy car and stuff. And probably maybe some of them, our cousins or our sisters and whatnot. Then you'll find that this guy, the very same car, it's a bank's car, he's still owing it and he's in areas. He himself, he does not have a property. He's got 5, 6, 7 credit cards he's servicing. He gets into this girl, she doesn't have anything that she owes. Then they get together. After about 12 months when they're together, now they're married, she realizes that she's in serious debt because of this person. So some of these reasons are caused by such things. You find young people, they get married, especially in the churches.
But is it the first time that young people are married?
Sorry?
If you check, is it the first time that young people get married or young women? Because if you check the history, it was even worse.
No, the trend now is worse in such a way that when you look at the stats, the statistics of 2013 and 14, the divorces of people that, actual people who got divorced, the ages are between the ages of 26 to 32, 33. So it really tells you that there's something drastically wrong in that age.
That's what I'm asking to say. If you check in the history of marriages, even among the Africans, people were married in as far as women, already 12, 13, 14 years. There was an arranged marriage already.
Yeah, but it's different in a sense that, like you say, it's an arranged marriage, and it's a marriage that is customary, maybe recognized. It's not civil marriage.
But what is the difference then between customary and civil? In as far as your argument is concerned.
But for now, I might say the difference is not too much. There is a difference.
Now let me give you. I once wrote something about that. I'll tell you from the marriage of African people what used to happen. Why there was, according to me, I'm arguing why there was a lesser chance of divorces and fighting for custody in the early marriages of an African person. There were several things that happened. Maktashala committee, you are needed outside. The committee are the joy have. SRC. Okay, SRC.
Before, I just wanted you to. I realized last year one thing that we struggle a lot about is research methodology. So we must identify. You see, we come up with nice topics. You must find before you come up with a topic, you must at least have a background of the very same topic. It means you have at least read so many books, so that we don't struggle with research methodology. So I'm expecting this contact session to assist us in terms of what is our research questions, like the way you are doing.
I try to problematize your questions. Yeah. That's why we are engaging on questions.
Yes. So I was saying this is the problem, and I think some of us maybe we're going experience. The reason why I'm here is because I struggle with research methodology. And when you bring, oh no, this is my research question. Supervisor does not understand anything.
So, focus.
Robert, I think what's important, I think what's important is languages. You know, sometimes we will focus on masters, and we forget languages.
What language?
The Greek and Hebrew.
We started with this.
So I didn't want to give it up. Tell us your topic and then you leave. Topic, yeah. Oh. I'm under Department of Practical Theology, specializing in pastoral narrative therapy.
Wow.
What's up?
Wow.
You've moved from Pilate and all the trials and suffering, you've arrived at the cross. You are now at the cross, literally. You are about to be liberated, if we might use that. You are about to be saved. But black theologians are saying But why are we rushing to the cross? Because black people are not yet there. They are still here suffering. They are still on there. They are still in between Pilate and the cross. So we don't want a hope. We are still suffering. So I'm just saying, your argument is correct. You say, yes, you want to contain, you want them to still have that thing. But I'm just saying, also, you must also think that the black answer, you must know how to answer.
Yeah, which is that was Takato, his own theology and thing.
Yeah, but the theology of hope is the European theology of man.
So blacks never had hope.
No, we don't need hope. We want deliverance now.
What comes with deliverance?
You know what hope does? Hope give you, it suspends everything. It says, one day things shall happen. It shall be okay. We say, no. You don't tell us about tomorrow now.
We want it now.
Yeah.
The land.
Now.
Want the land now.
So we don't want tomorrow. We don't want the Sarafina song of freedom is coming tomorrow.
We want it now.
Now.
No.
So you get the counter argument. So you must know, you must go and think about it a little.
By being intact, as black people, won't it give us to get those things now?
Yeah, you know that song of those people, was it the Babylon song? They were literally rejecting hope. Saying, no. I'm not going to sing these songs in a foreign land of hope and suffering. We want to be in Jerusalem. We want to go back there.
I'll take that topic to UNISA, my friend.
No, I'm just saying, think. Your topic is not incorrect. I'm saying, think on the other side of the The next one. Masters. You are done. Yeah.
So I'm writing on the trauma effects of spatial segregation of 2 Kings 25, verse 8 until 21. So I'm looking at the Babylon exile and how the Judeans got exiled and how traumatic it was for them. So I'm looking more at culture and I'm looking at identity. And then also now looking at it to be a comparative study sort of saying that in South Africa we experience the same thing in terms of Bantu stands, in terms of townships. And yeah, that's basically what I'm writing about.
It's an interesting topic. Very, very interesting. Because remember, when you are in theology, all of your topics must always be informed obviously by your context, the current, your culture and everything. But also it must be biblically influenced, informed. But also because you are in the Reformed Church, it must always... Context, I was being African. Then when it comes to here, it must also be reformed. You must be able to know what is reformed. At least in your chapter, in all your chapters, there must be something about reformed theology, because we don't want to go with you and see, no, then we argue that, and you are empty literal. It's a problem. You can't argue. The idea of the synod, remember the concept of the synod, it simply means a gathering of the elders. And in that gathering, we engage one another robustly so. And you don't just come there and say, we are not using that church council discussion. Some of you will be doing that very soon. I'm a minister here. You'll do as I say. We don't do that. It's a sign of weakness. Once you argue that in a church council meeting as a minister, you must know you are very weak. You must engage your members and tell them, look, these are the reasons why I'm influencing you to do this. I'm persuading this. So that people are influenced. Leadership is about influence. Influence them, they understand why. Then when you leave a meeting, you have put your reasons on the table. Not this one of saying, no, you'll do it because I'm a minister. What is that? It's weakness. You can only do it at the church council. When we go to the synod, you don't play there. You must stand, and when you stand up, you must convince us. And you don't speak without being sure because we open our books. It's even easier with Google. We open our gadgets there. Wi-Fi is for free at Sino. We check what you are saying, we verify it. Once you are done with your sentence, we raise hands. No. You are off the hook. Let us engage you and give you a proper context of what I said.
We'll remind you that you don't have Greek word.
And then you are with your members there. Your elder. And your elder saying, hey, I thought this man is the man. You everything, and he can be defeated by others. So it's very important to study and understand what you move. Because moving forward, remember, today is a different matter. I might come here, tomorrow will be my colleague. But to match me, you must equally study. If you can't study, if you don't study, you will still be a child even at the synod. We will carry you like a child. There. But it is only at the synod respect people who participate and who contribute, who are informed. Yeah. So it's important that in your masters, always make sure that there's some chapter of reform theology, biblical theology there, and also African something must be there, so that you are able to understand how do you, because in short, it will be able to tell you how do you do your sermon, because your sermon must always be informed by that. Must be able to move from the Bible to the people, from the people to the Bible. Simple as that. So I think more or less we were asked to return back there. So go and think your topics through, and where you need to polish them, do that. Make sure that you problematize your topic. You must make it a problem to yourself first, because we are going to problematize it for you. So it must be a problem first, then you attack. Thank you very much.